So I'm continuing my series of MASH retro reviews with Season 1, Episode 12, Dear Dad. So this episode is different than all the other episodes that we've already talked about. This is the first episode where one of the characters is writing a letter home to friends and family. Specifically, Hawkeye is writing his father, who's living in Vermont. But later on it's established that Hawkeye's hometown is Craddock Cove, Maine. That's just an example of the series not being firmly tied to continuity, especially earlier on. But you know what? His father might have temporarily moved to Vermont for some reason too, so we can justify it that way too. But let's move on from MASH continuity because that's a whole nother topic and talk about actually the going on in this episode. Hawkeye's writing a letter home to his MASH around the Christmas holidays, and well, Hawkeye shows a bunch of small vignettes that have been going on at that time. The music is Christmassy to put us in the mood. So that makes this the first Christmas episode of MASH, which makes sense. This actually aired December 17th, I believe, according to the Wikia. But yeah, so it's the Christmas episode. And unfortunately, I'm not putting this out on Christmas. It's actually April right now. So it's kind of chilly today, so kind of. I'll probably have none of the episodes on their actual holiday. But you know what? Whether or not this is a Christmas episode is kind of a moot point because really only a few of the vignettes are really directly related to Christmas. You have the small vignette of Father McKay helping to get the Christmas tree into the mess tent. Then you have Hawkeye dressed up as Santa Claus. Those are really the two main ones. And by the way, Hawkeye has to go to the front line, so he rescues a soldier who's injured with chest injury as Santa Claus, which is just a great and fun scene overall, but it being a Christmas episode does not really play into the story, unlike other episodes will later on. But that's alright. This is all. Not every episode has to be directly tied to the time frame it is set in. They're in a war, so, and like war, the holidays are still going on no matter whether it's Christmas, New Year's, Easter, but the realities of being at war still are playing a role. Hawkeye literally quotes General Sherman at the start of this episode with his letter to his father regarding the war is hell. And this episode is taking a more serious tone than some of the other previous episodes have. They're not as serious, as dramatic as future tones we get, but the fact that just acknowledging that war is hell is kind of a big step for this episode. The show has always, I would say, have an anti-war bent to it, but they've always done through more of the mocking war and mocking the military rather than just saying, hey, war is bad. And this is one of the first episodes that is truly showing it, but we still haven't gotten into the big one yet. I could talk more about each individual vignette. You have Trapper helping give Korean children, I'm going to guess, inoculations against certain diseases, but he's dragged away to help a cow give birth, and he gets a bucket of milk for his efforts, which is like, that's a fun vignette though. And the Korean kids, they'll get eating lollipops after they get their shot, and one of them snuck by the line to try to get a second lollipop, which is such a kid's thing to do. It's such a heartwarming scene though. Oftentimes we do see Trapper as this jokester who's also unfaithful to his wife, but that scene reminds us that he's still a good person by and large. He likes helping kids. Like, sure, maybe he should be more faithful, but we often forget about, yes, there's more positive aspects of his character. Unfortunately, we can't say the same thing about Frank, because him and Klinger get into a fight. If you remember when I talked about the episode 2 Surgeon Who, I mentioned that was the only episode of season 1 Klinger appeared in. Oh, I was wrong because I forgot about this episode, but so did the MASH Wikia. So after I'm done recording, I'm going to go over and fix that Wikia entry because Klinger appeared in at least 2 episodes of season 1. So mistakes do happen. If I wasn't doing this series of retro reviews, I would have never noticed that mistake, so I'm definitely going to be fixing that. But regardless of that, they get into a fight, and Father McKay talks the MP out of doing it, so don't know what happens when Frank wakes up from getting knocked out by Klinger, but Father McKay also talks Klinger out of taking more drastic action to deal with Frank. That involves a grenade. It's not the Vietnam War yet, Klinger. And if you know your history, you know what I'm implying there. But you know what? This episode has some great Father McKay moments. Several of them, often just him being himself, being kind to those around him, trying to bring some Christmas cheer in the midst of the war. Just some really nice scenes going on. Now, there's a lot more I could talk about this episode. I could talk about each individual vignette, but there's one more I have to talk about. And this is actually not really one vignette, but it's a series of vignettes that are sprinkled in as almost the only other through action of the episode besides Hawkeye writing the letter. Raider mailing a Jeep home to basically to his family but for himself, which is just so hilarious. And kind of shows that he's not as innocent as we would later think, but yet he's also shown to be innocent in this episode regarding regarding the scene where Henry is trying to do a lecture on marital sex, and is just he's totally uncomfortable doing it. And Raider's like this, like he has no idea what's going on, but he's vastly interested, which is portraying him as innocent of that kind of stuff. But that kind of counteracts some of the stuff we've seen earlier and stuff we'll see later in the series. Again, that goes to how continuity is not always a big thing on the minds of the mass writers. They have a loose idea and they are just telling stories with these characters in the setting. Which, you know what, that's fine. We don't need to have strict continuity, especially for a comedy series. But as MASH became more dramatic, you'll see continuity becoming more consistent. And I think because drama does require more of a sense of continuity than comedy does. But that's where I'm going to end this review. Do That, I think, is just a phenomenal episode. It has some great moments. I really do like having a bunch of just series of vignettes. No, it really just feels lovely. It's a great way of telling stories, in my opinion. And just short stories are sometimes more fun than big stories. And I like that we got a series of short stories with some overarching elements just to connect them. Like, these are all happening on the same time. And that's kind of how life really is. It's just a bunch of mini stories that connect up together. Some are more connected than others. But you know what? I want to hear your thoughts on all this in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching my video. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to give this video a like and share. Also, consider subscribing to my channel to stay up to date on all my latest content. You can also stay up to date on my content by following me on social media. I have a link tree down in the description which has all my social media links on it. Additionally, if you would like to support the channel, you can become a channel member and get early access to all my videos. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. May the force be with you always.